Welcome back to the show. My name is Muhhamad Musah, and we're going to be interviewing Henri Thulliez, coordinator of the Human Rights Watch, which has been observing the Hissène Habré court trial taking place in Senegal. Hi, hey Henri, how are you doing? How are you doing, Henri?
Good, and you?
I'm really good.
Very good, and yourself?
Awesome. So we're going to start off right away, and I'm going to ask you if you can describe the crimes that former President Hissène Habré is accused of committing, and why he should be brought to trial 25 years after he was deposed.
Well, as you said, Hissène Habré was a dictator of Chad from 1982 until 1990. He is accused by Human Rights Watch of systematic torture and thousands of political killings. The court itself, the prosecutor, accused Hissène Habré for crimes against humanity, war crimes, and torture. Hissène Habré was fighting against Gaddafi's Libya in the 80s, and he took that opportunity to oppress his own people. Many innocent people spend years in jails without seeing any judges or without enjoying a good investigation. Thousands of people died in jail. We have, for example, we found the archives of the political police of Hissène Habré, which is called the DDS. And in these archives, we can find the names of more than 1,200 people who died in these jails. We can also find the fact that more than 10,000 people suffered human rights violation in jail. We also have ethnical groups which were targeted as such, like the Arabs at the beginning of his regime in 82 and 83, civilian population in the south of Chad in 83, 84, and 85, and then we have the Adjara in 87, and then the Zahawa in 89, and it's actually the oppression against the ethnical group of the Zahawa that he was overthrown from power by the current president of Chad, Idriss Déby Itno. So it's massive human rights violations that are right now being prosecuted in court. It's a very important moment for the Chadian people who have been suffering civil war and human rights violations since its independence in the 60s. And it's finally having this moment where the Chadian people can look at the history of its own country, a very horrendous time where thousands of human rights violations were committed. So it's an historic moment for the victims and for the Chadian people, I think.
Wow. Can you describe a little bit more about the findings of the Human Rights Watch investigations of this former president?
Sure. Human Rights Watch has been working since 1998 with the Victims Association and Human Rights Organization in Chad. And what we found is horrible torture, horrible cases of torture, such as being beaten up, such as a torture which is called the arbatacha, where we're going to tie your legs and your arms behind your back. We have waterboarding. We have electrocution, where women, for example, were electrocuted. We also have many cases of rapings. We found, for example, that two groups of women were deported to the north of Chad to serve the domestic needs of the Chadian army, of the Chadian soldiers, and these women were tortured on a daily basis. It was a very cruel regime. And it's still now very difficult to understand why Hissène Habré why his regime committed all these crimes, and that's what the victims want from this trial, is to understand why was I tortured, why was I put in jail, why my brother disappeared, why have I never seen my mother. So it is a turning point for justice in Africa for this particular matter. And we have to address the fact that at this time, Hissène Habré was benefited from a very important assistance from the United States, especially the CIA and the French secret services, which massively helped the political police there financially, materially. They even trained agents agents of the political police, who committed horrific crimes.
Oh, wow. There's been a lot of commentary about the fact that this case is being held in Senegal. So do you think that having this trial under a Senegalese legal system in Africa is better than under the International Criminal Court legal systems in The Hague?
Well, first of all, the International Criminal Court couldn't prosecute Hissène Habré's crimes because they were committed in the 80s, and the ICC can only investigate crimes that were committed after 2002. So the ICC couldn't even do anything about this case. But where we have an interesting debate is that when Senegal, because the first complaint was filed in 2000, and when Senegal stalled for years and didn't do anything, the victims turned to the Belgian legal system, where they filed another suit. And when Belgium organized a huge investigation, they investigated on these crimes for 5 years, and when they sent an arrest warrant to Senegal and asked Senegal to extradite Hissène Habré to Belgium, Senegal refused to do it. Senegal refused to send Habré to Belgium because the president at that time, Mr. Abdoulaye Wade, didn't want to be seen by all the African head of states to be sending a former head of state to a Western country for him to be tried there. So he sent the matter to the African Union in 2006. And in 2006, the African Union said to Senegal that they have to try Hissène Habré on behalf of Africa. But this was in 2016, and we're now in 2015. Well, in 2006, Senegal didn't do anything. Because actually, when Hissène Habré left his country, he left with a massive amount of money. He actually stole the national treasury of Chad and invested it here, built himself a very powerful network of protection here in Senegal. So he avoided to be tried for years and years and years. But at the end, Belgium filed a suit against Senegal in the International Court of Justice, which ordered Senegal to prosecute Hissène Habré. But the more important fact is that in 2012, we had new presidential elections here in Senegal, and the new president, Macky Sall, promised that he will organize the trial of Hissène Habré, and he did so. So to get back on your question, it is a very important moment because this time, Senegal didn't want to send a former African head of state to a Western country, and decided to take this matter himself. So it is even the first time a former head of state is being tried by a foreign jurisdiction. It's the first time in the world, and this is based on the universal jurisdiction principle, and this is very big. Also, now it shows that African courts, African jurisdictions are capable to try their own torturers, I think.
So what do you say to critics who argue that President Habré's human rights are being violated because he's being tried under a legal regime of a country which is not, where he's not from?
Well, this is a principle which is written in the Convention Against Torture, which was signed by Chad and by Senegal. This convention is old enough because it was ratified in 1984. What we can see is that his rights are protected for the moment here in Senegal. He enjoys a fair and impartial trial, much more than if he was actually in Chad, where there is a very bad separation of powers, for example. We can't say that the judicial system in Chad would be good enough to try Hissène Habré. Here, Hissène Habré is being tried in a court that was created by the African Union and Senegal. So there is another level of protection. Let's say that more resources are put into the Senegalese jurisdiction by the African Union and by the international community to ensure is fair and impartial. So for the moment, his lawyers have been saying a lot that his trial is not fair, but they haven't given any strong evidence to show that his trial is not fair. And they are the first one to say that they don't want Hissène Habré to be tried in Chad, and they don't want Hissène Habré to be tried in Belgium. But now that he's being tried, they are trying to find ways to show that his trial isn't fair, but they still haven't given strong evidence to build on that.
Okay. what kind of action is being taken so that Chadians affected by the former president's repressive regime are able to see the justice being carried out?
It's a very good question. Well, first of all, 100 victims and witnesses will travel from Chad to Senegal to participate to the proceedings. So victims will play an active role during the whole trial because they will be able to come and face their former dictator and say what they did and how they suffered and what happened during these 8 years of his regime. So the victims play a very important role. But obviously, as you said, Chad is very far from Senegal. They are both very different countries. With different culture, of course. And we can't make all the Chadian people and all the Chadian victims travel to Senegal. But the Senegalese court has created an outreach program with a Chadian NGO, a Senegalese NGO, and a Belgian NGO to make sure that the trial can be followed by the Chadian people. So we know for the moment, after the first 2 days of the trial, that it worked because the Senegalese TV is filming all the proceedings and broadcast it in broadcast what they filmed in Chad. So we actually heard that on the first day of the trial, the capital of Chad, N'Djamena, was like an empty city, a ghost city, because everybody was at home watching the trial online. And this is a very big moment. It's actually working. People are watching what's going on TV, and they can also listen to the radio what's going on. But now we hope that for the whole trial this is going to happen, and not only the first 2 days were filmed. So we are fighting for that to happen in very good conditions.
Okay. And what do you foresee being the outcome of this trial?
You know, what we want from this trial is we want a very good trial. We want a trial where the strongest evidence are being shown. We want a trial where the voice of the victims are heard, where the voice of the accused is heard and listened. We want the victims to be able to explain what happened, and we want them to have justice. The victims have been fighting for 25 years. But they have already won. They have their trial. They've shown that with determination and perseverance, they can actually bring a former dictator to justice. And I think this is what we want. We want the Habré case to become a precedent as the Pinochet case was before. So that's what we want. We want a trial where strong evidence are being shown and where the victims can actively participate. And we want the accused to explain what happened.
All right, Mr. Thulliez, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on, and we'd love to have you back.
Whenever you want.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. And that was Henri Thulliez, coordinator at the Human Rights Watch. This is Muhhamad Musah, and you're watching SaharaTV.